Welcome back to the Fitness League, helping busy humans build strong bodies, sharper minds, and better lives. Join us each week as we cut through the noise, challenge the norms, and empower you to train smarter and live stronger. Ellie asks, do you gain muscle while increasing strength? Do you need to increase mass in order to be stronger? Is one more important than the other? The scale is going up, my body doesn't look different. Is that just muscle gains? These are my random 2 a.m. up with baby thoughts. We'll be diving into this question and many more in today's Q&A episode. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
You, Ellie, on those
to
2
you.
a.m. middle of the night baby thoughts. That's so funny. Been
Those
there.
2 a.m. thoughts, yeah. They're always wild. Like they're just things that you probably would never think of during the day, and then you're just up, and then you think of it, and then you can't fall asleep because your mind is just endlessly going.
I'd also place a lot of Amazon orders at that like 2, 3 a.m. mark.
That's
and then
dangerous.
be half asleep and get a package, be like, oh, what did I order in my sleepy stupor?
Usually it's baby stuff that you're like, maybe I'll try a different sleep sack because this one is not working, so I'm going to panic order the next one.
And that is why I am taking the credit card off of our Amazon account. It's too automatic.
Alessandra, did you get your dictionary app taken care of?
Joelle, I forgot.
No, I know you forgot because I saw it continue to pop up on your phone. So I recommend that as we continue reading these questions, you open your phone and cancel the subscription.
You guys, I found that app and I shared it, so you might have seen it on Instagram. See, it works because Joelle remembered the word.
I remember.
You know what else works? A dictionary.
It's called
I told Alessandra somehow years ago, I ended up on like a random word of the day email list. And now I get a word of the day, or maybe it's word of the week, I don't remember, emailed to me. And it's just like a dictionary definition that comes to my email and it's free. And I was like, hey, if you need a new option.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was just going to say, though, I really do. They gamify it. And I know we know the importance of gamifying for consistency. So it's nice because it'll pop up on my watch. It'll pop up on my Garmin because it's a notification and it will show me a new word with a definition. Yeah. I glance down and I read it quick and it's like, oh, okay.
The funniest part of that whole conversation in my living room was Brant going, oh, what language are you trying to learn?
Just the English one.
So Josh got a notification that this app, because you guys, I was just doing the free trial, but then when we were traveling to Joelle on Thursday, that was the day the trial was up and I like completely forgot to cancel it beforehand. So this charge comes through when we get to Joelle's house and we're all sitting in the living room and Josh is like, what? Why is Apple charging me $70? And I was like, crap. And
it was 100. It was 70 or 60 and 40. It charged you twice.
So the annoying thing that apps do is they'll charge you for the year if you don't opt out. So it wasn't like a monthly subscription. They charged me for the whole year, which is, I think we can say that we will never do that to you guys, hopefully. But it's kind of sketchy because it's like,
I mean, hopefully we'll never just randomly charge you for a year. There won't even be a credit card during your free trial.
Yeah. So I'm gonna cancel it. But this all happened. This all happened at Joelle's house, and we're sitting there, and Brant was like, "Oh, what language are you trying to learn?"
You got this vocabulary app, and he's like, "What language are you trying?"
And I'm just like, "I'm English. I just want to learn how to speak good."
Also, I'm just like, I just want to not be able to not have to say "great" every time I want to describe something.
It's fair. There's a lot of words out there that I don't know yet, and I want to learn more. So
this is the opposite of being on a budget. Spending 100 budget. Opposite of spending on a budget. Budget. I got to learn English too. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna cancel it to appease my husband. It was a fun app to try if you want.
If anyone has a free vocabulary app for Alessandra, let her know.
Let a girl know.
Unbelievable. Now on to the good stuff. Do you gain muscle while increasing strength? Take it away.
Body wants. Sometimes yes, but not always. So strength gains can come from 2 different pathways in a sense. So we have neurological adaptations. That's typically like early on in a program, especially like the first 4 to 8 weeks. A lot of the strength improvements that we have are happening because our nervous system gets better at recruiting muscle fibers and improving coordination, firing your muscle fibers more efficiently. And that can happen without any actual muscle growth. And then on the flip side, the other kind of pathway there is the hypertrophy itself or the muscle gain itself. So over time, obviously, continued progressive overload, you're then stimulating more muscle protein synthesis, which is then leading to muscle growth. Larger muscles do have the potential to get stronger because they can produce more force and they typically get stronger quicker. That's also why we see, for instance, women gain lower body strength much faster or lower body size much faster than upper body. So bottom line there is you can get stronger without getting bigger per se, especially if you're newer to training or working potentially in lower rep ranges. But over the long term, that muscle growth will continue to support the strength gains. Does that make sense?
Sure does. As far as what's more important, it really comes down to preference. If you want to get stronger without getting bigger, you're just likely not eating in a surplus. A lot of times you'll still continue to see body composition improvements. So you might see a slight transition to building more muscle as you're losing fat over the longer term. It's not going to be overnight, obviously, but it's one of those gain-taining phases we've talked about for quite a while. If you just want to add size, you're not likely to just add size. You're going to get stronger as you add more muscle. So you can lean on one side when it comes to strength without focusing on a ton of muscle, but as you're gaining muscle, you're going to be getting stronger. Otherwise, that's kind of an indicator that you're gaining more fat than muscle in that situation.
As far as the scale going up, though, she said the scale's going up, but my body doesn't look much different. Is that muscle gains? It can be, but also like, how else are you are you just looking in the mirror and saying, oh, I don't notice any differences? Because it's really hard to be objective with ourselves if you're just looking in the mirror. So make sure you're taking progress photos. Make sure, like, what is nutrition doing? That's my next question. Are you tracking macros? Do you have an idea if you're in maintenance, or are you aiming for fat loss? Are you aiming for an actual gain-taining phase? I think that would likely answer this question a little bit better for you, but it could be possible that you are gaining muscle and things just don't look super different yet because it just hasn't been long enough. So I think that's also another caveat here. So it kind of depends, but it could be for sure.
Yeah, I would say muscle growth in general is a slow and like kind of subtle process. Even adding like 3 to 5 pounds of muscle can take a decent chunk of time, and it's a huge win, but you might not see it. Like, you might not see that dramatic difference on your frame right away. The other thing that I like to remind people, if they've changed their training or they're training harder, they're training more, or they're gaining muscle, like, yes, you might see that reflect on the scale. But the other thing I like to remind you there is that muscles store glycogen, and the more glycogen we can store, the more water we hold with that glycogen. So if the muscle is growing, then the muscle can hold more glycogen. If it can hold more glycogen, it's holding more water. And so it's also not uncommon that as we are gaining muscle, or maybe in a strength or hypertrophy phase, we might be holding and storing more glycogen and water. So that could be another reason that, like, you might see the scale come up a little bit, but things aren't really looking much different. Because when I say holding water, I'm talking about like intracellularly in the muscle, not like holding water like you're bloated. But yeah, I would say I think, just to kind of summarize the strength versus hypertrophy thing, the two are going to work hand in hand. The strength is going to support the hypertrophy by letting you lift heavier loads over time, and the hypertrophy is going to support the strength by giving you more tissue to use. So both are important. Both are likely going to increase with time.
Charlotte says, hey team, found you guys through Alessandra's Mothership series and binged like 15 episodes of the podcast on my 2 6-hour drives last weekend.
I love that.
The episodes I've been listening to, Joelle has talked a lot about her journaling. How do you get started? Do you follow prompts, or what are any tips or tricks you have, as I'm drawn to try it since my mom passed away in June? Love all the things you are all doing and glad I found you guys. Welcome, Charlotte. Very sorry to hear about your mom, but let's give you some tips and tricks on the journaling.
Yeah. So interestingly, I cracked open my journal yesterday, and it had been a few weeks since I had journaled, and I just felt just so much better. Like, just that one reintro back just changes like your perception of the day, your gratitude for the day. Every time I go into journal, my intention is to just jot down 3 things I'm grateful for. And every time I open up my journal, I end up with a full page of thoughts filled. And I don't know if it's just the ADHD or what it is, but I go in with just the intention of wanting to express gratitude. And I just find that as soon as my pen hits the paper and I start writing, it ends up being like paragraphs of gratitude. And for a long time, I would just do like bullet points, like 3 bullet points that I was trying to add. And in time, I just found that transformed to paragraphs essentially of gratitude and expressing things further and just kind of further elaborating on like why I was grateful for something.
Hey guys, real quick. If you've been listening and thinking, I need to start doing something for my health, but I don't have time for a full program, that is literally why we built the SDE Method app. It's a fitness app made for real people with real lives. Busy parents, working professionals, anyone juggling 100 things. You can get in, get a smart, effective workout in around 30 minutes, some even closer to 20 minutes, and log out knowing you made progress. You can finally take the guessing out of your workouts. We have workouts designed to be done at the gym or at home, and you get access to all of them when you sign up. As life phases change, you can pick a new one that aligns better with what you have going on right now. And one more thing, we are also qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. So just hit the app link in the show notes, start where you are, we'll help with the rest. All right, let's get back to the show.
Ultimately, for me, my goal with the journaling is to express gratitude. And while my intention originally is like, oh, let me just go in and jot down 3 things I'm grateful for, I always end up just like elaborating further on why and why I'm feeling that way and why I'm taking note of that. There was something that I was feeling some overwhelm and stress yesterday, and used that journaling as an opportunity to like, how can I reframe this in the moment? And had I not done the journaling yesterday morning, I likely wouldn't have like worked through that reframe. So I think journaling can sound kind of overwhelming because you're like, where do I start? Do I need this prompt to follow? I just think go in with the intention of 3 things that you're grateful for. And if it just starts to spiral from there, great. If it doesn't, also great. Like 3 bullet points is just fine. And also if you choose to further elaborate, or it becomes a to-do list, or it becomes paragraphs of things on your mind, like any of that is fine and beneficial.
Yeah, and you got me the 5-minute journal for my birthday this year, and I was previously doing it the way you do it now, Joelle, with just like a notebook and, kind of just whatever. But I do really like if you are somebody who does want a little more guidance, it outlines it really well. It still has the 3 things you're grateful for. It has a couple other spaces in there, and then it even has like a section if you want to come back and do a nightly session too. So if you do want more of that, like I need an outline type of thing, that's a great one. And you can get it on Amazon, and I highly recommend that too.
That was the first journal that I ever like consistently did, was the 5-minute journal, because I wanted those just quick prompts. Like today I am grateful for, I think there's an affirmation in there, like I am blank. Yep. You fill it in, 3 things you're grateful for. And then I think the end of the day one, I don't remember what the question is, but some kind of nighttime.
It's kind of
reflection.
just a recap. It's like a reflection of the day. And that's something so I made Kai, I think I talked about it in the last episode, this morning menu for his homeschool stuff that he does. And he like kind of just like circles what he's feeling for the day emotion wise. And we have affirmations in there, but the last page is the same thing, 3 things he's grateful for. So we're even working on that with him as a young age, and it's really cool to see like just what he comes up with for the day and kind of helping him understand like it's not necessarily like he got kind of confused at first, like is it like 3 of my favorite things, like he was listing his quad, and I was like, well, you can be grateful for your quad, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like a thing. So like what makes you happy today, what makes you grateful today? So when we were coming to your house, he was like, Sloan, I can't wait to see Sloan, and like then he'll often say Wes crawling, and like it's cool to see he'll pick out like little things throughout his day too. So just a reminder, it's never too early to start this if you do have littles. I think it's a really great activity for them as well.
And it's okay if it feels monotonous. A lot of times, if it's just like waking up, it's the same day. I use that as my frame setter for the entire day. So today I feel ... any emotions, intentions for the day, and then 3 things I'm grateful for. That's like the staple, but I'll go through those, and 95% of the time I'm writing the exact same things down every single day. If something gets stirred up or excited, or it's a high amount of stress going on, then I tend to kind of tap into that and use it as an outlet to let go of some of those things. But a lot of times I'll use that to just kind of set my temperature, set my gauge, use that as the paradigm for the day, and kind of get myself off on the right foot. So if you don't feel like you're super creative or have a ton of stuff to write down, just kind of use it as that. Use it as, these are my intentions. Here's what we're going to do. A reminder for being grateful. And, however you want to cater it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just pen to paper and let it rip. Jocelyn says, hi. In the past, some different lifting programs I've done have always been 8 weeks before changing things up. I love that your programs are every 4 weeks, but do you guys think there is benefit to sticking with one of the months for 2 in a row? So you're doing the same moves for 8 instead of 4 weeks. Thanks. That is a great question, Jocelyn. And it's actually something where we understand we are on the lighter side. 4 weeks is basically the minimum amount of time to adapt to a stimulus. Now you can do something for 4 weeks up to 12 weeks and extend beyond that. So there is definitely benefit to doing a couple months in a row. A lot of times though, we do try to build off previous movements. So whether it's a slight change to a movement or just extension of those reps, changing from 8 to 10 or 8 to 6, but with similar movements. So we are still building off them in a lot of cases. But yes, long answer short, there is benefit to doing it longer. But we aren't totally disregarding that. We just keep it on the 4-week side to improve engagement and make sure people aren't getting bored. And we want you guys to stick with these longer term.
Bingo.
Tyler says, injuries, not little ones, big ones that make you question everything. My questions for you all: have you dealt with big injuries? Have you had clients experience an injury that made them question everything? What words of advice would you give me or others in a similar situation? TLDR, she had to have emergency back surgery about a week and a half ago due to severe nerve impingement. The nerves were beginning to die and was having big red flag symptoms. More details: she was training for her first marathon, running 40 miles a week, lifting 4 times a week, felt unstoppable, like she was on top of the world. So she started to experience some difficult tendonitis. Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show. Yeah. So obviously a lot going on, Tyler. Very sorry to hear that. I know you were crushing it, and this can feel like it is a major setback, and obviously it feels that way. So words of advice, what would you give to her or others in a similar situation?
Tyler, I feel for you. I read the more details paragraph, and it seems like you were super active. You obviously love training, and we're doing all different things, running 40 miles a week, lifting 4 times a week, feeling unstoppable. And I'm sure just feels surreal that like in the blink of an eye, it all changes. And here you are almost 2 weeks post-op from, a major spinal surgery. So I can't speak to my own injury experience of very, very large injuries. I did have some back fractures as a kid and some, broken ankles, broken toes, things like that, but nothing, knock on wood, that was monumental during really the phase of health and fitness that I'm in now. However, what I can say is I can speak to my dad, who has had 2 spinal surgeries now, 2 spinal fusion surgeries. I don't think that what you had necessarily was a fusion. It didn't say that. But my dad has had 2 major spinal surgeries. And for context, he is an avid gym goer, lifts multiple days per week, usually 5 or 6 days a week. He has been lifting for 30 plus years. And both of those surgeries, he had, incredible recoveries, all things considered, very likely because he was a fit individual and had a lot of muscle on him. But I know, from him and witnessing him going through that the recovery is really, really challenging when you're someone who does identify, with fitness as a pretty big part of their life and movement as a big part of their life. So my advice for you is certainly nothing groundbreaking, but it is to stay the course. You are not the only, fitness loving person who has ever had to have a back surgery. And there are definitely challenges of going through that, but you also mentioned that your recovery is going exceptionally well, but that you've had to scale back a ton. You can't drive right now. They don't want you picking anything up over, the weight of a gallon of milk. So I would listen to all of that. I know sometimes, like, it's funny because obviously when we talk about, like, if Alessandra and I talk about postpartum, like return to exercise or pregnancy, like, oh, don't listen to those arbitrary, don't lift more than 20 pounds things. This you have to listen to when it comes to your spine and nerves and your, orthopedic surgeon and your spinal surgeon's advice. You do have to definitely listen to those because you don't want to end up in a worse position there. And these are not arbitrary numbers. These are, metrics to help keep you safe. So my guess is that you will be able to return to exercise at a sooner rate than someone who does not exercise and was not already fit. And you likely will have a much better and easier recovery. Easier is relative, of course, but stay the course. I know it feels really discouraging, but you are going to get through this and you are going to come out on the other side of this and you will be stronger and better and hopefully pain-free for it.
Yeah, I'll echo everything Joelle just said, and I'll add a couple of things. I think it's probably easy to think of this season of rehab and getting better as wasted time, but it really is just an opportunity to build your resilience, your discipline, your patience for yourself that much more and in a different way than you've ever had to do it before. So it might not be, measuring your progress in miles that you ran this week or how much you lifted this week, but how well you care for your body as it is today. So every chance and every choice that you make to rest, to show up to PT, to do your rehab exercises, that's setting you up for such a stronger comeback. And I know I messaged you this privately, but I truly believe you will come back so much stronger because of this. So my reframe for you is to focus on what can I do today? How can I protect my mindset today? How can I find a small win today, whether it's physical regarding your body, regarding your fitness progress right now, or more mental? Those are still wins too. This injury doesn't take away you and your fitness level and you as a fitness person. It sort of just becomes part of your story. Somebody really impactful you could follow. You might even follow her already. Her name's Amanda Kimiko. She's a two-time
I just
cancer.
followed her yesterday.
Yeah, she's I chat with her often in the DM.
She had a viral video going and I was like, oh my gosh, she was responding to like a hate comment. I don't know if you saw
so
this
she's a
post.
two-time cancer survivor.
Just found her.
Had a really hard, long journey. She's young. She's in her maybe late 20s, early 30s. And she just recently went through a miscarriage. So we were chatting a bunch too. And she's an ultra runner. She's absolutely incredible. But to go through cancer 2 times and overcome that. And I just love her message and everything she puts out. So if you don't follow her, give her a follow. But she might be somebody where you can go back and watch her older YouTube videos or her older stuff and resonate with that part of her story of going through. I think she even had some issue with her leg and they told her she would never run again. And now she does ultra marathon. So just really inspiring story, but a good place of connection maybe, even though it's completely different, but just as far as coming back from something even more powerful and stronger.
You mentioned your faith. I was
so inspired by her story.
You mentioned your faith and this being difficult. You put your faith before everything else, but this being really hard. So I would advise that you lean into that. What are some things that you've been passing up? Some things you may have been neglecting? What is God trying to tell you right now? You had this setback. You can't run. You have time to really focus on something. What can that be? What can you fill that slot with? I would kind of let that marinate, meditate on that, and answer that question and really lean into this. Completely understand identifying with fitness. And this is just who you are. It's what you do. You have a gap to fill for the time being. So I would try to decipher that message and see what you can really lean into during this time. All right, Jalen is 5 days postpartum with baby boy number 2, exclusively breastfeeding, but I don't have high hunger levels. I had the same issue with my first, which led to tanking my supply early and having to supplement with formula early. Supply is coming in well and I don't want to kill it. Tips for getting in the calories while getting full easily, not experiencing the ravenous hunger like most people do during breastfeeding. Side note, extremely happy I came across your pages during this pregnancy. I used all of your content for motivation and help navigating a healthier, more active pregnancy than my first. Strength trained and modified cardio up until 3 days before labor. Gained 28 pounds with this pregnancy compared to 45 with my first. Not that that's the most important thing, but it was a huge win for me. And recovery is truly 20 times easier this time around.
I love that so much, so much. I think this is common. I think a lot of people, I mean, we kind of talked about not this specifically, but we talked a lot about breastfeeding and just postpartum recovery yesterday in yesterday's episode. But I think it's either people are super, super hungry and have that high hunger, or it's what you're experiencing, Jalen. It's like they don't have that high hunger. It's like one or the other. There often isn't a middle ground. So I want you to know you're not alone. I don't even think you're part of the minority here. I think what you're experiencing is likely a lot more common than you think. And it really just comes down to getting a little bit creative with, how can I get in as many calories as I can without necessarily eating super high volume so that I feel really full all the time. And I think this is common. I mean, I'm sure Josh could even give you some tips, things he's done like during a bulk phase where he's had to eat 4,000 calories per day, like same thing kind of. You want to focus on higher, just more calorie dense foods and less like volume foods. So a lot of women, especially in the postpartum phase, are maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, or maybe this is just how they eat, trying to eat healthy, but that also sometimes can mean eat more like diet type food. So foods that do have more volume and keep you really full, but are probably lower in calories. So you kind of want to do the flip side of that without just not having any regard for nutrients too. So we still want to eat foods that are good for us because we know that makes you feel good, that helps with digestion, that helps with everything. But at the same time, you want to sneak in just more calorie dense options. So my, let's say, top 3 pieces of advice as far as foods: dried fruit is great. Some type of granola with yogurt. Granola can pack in a bunch of calories at once. And then just something like a loaded oatmeal, like a protein oatmeal with fruit or dried fruit in there, or nuts. Like, you want to focus on the things that have way more calories but are still easy to get down like that.
You can put a ton of calories into a shake. So protein, whey protein, obviously. You can use milk. You don't need to, but it's bonus calories. You can mix in a ton of oats with that, a scoop of nut butter, frozen berries. Like, it is not difficult to get 1,000 calories from a single shake. And then you can sip on that for like 20 minutes or so. So it's not like you're chugging it and feeling really full and bloated, but that's a cheat code.
I am going to give some less conventional advice here as someone who was very much in this situation and still sometimes is in this situation, just struggling with hunger. But I had a very similar experience where like I did not have that ravenous hunger. I still had a great supply. But in my experience, I had to sometimes include more less and nutrient dense options with the trade-off of caloric density. That does not mean that there can't be both. Like, we can have things that are highly caloric and highly nutrient dense, i.e. avocado, salmon, nuts. But more so in my experience, I don't know if this is yours, it almost felt like for me postpartum, not only did I not have that hunger that I was expecting to have while breastfeeding, I also still had what felt like pregnancy aversions. Like, there was a lot of food, like nothing sounded good to me. And so there were a lot of instances where I was choosing the like less nutrient dense thing just to help me get calories in, whatever that might look like for you. Calories are going to be king. Obviously, we want a ton of nutrients, especially if we're breastfeeding and we want that solid milk supply. But calories are going to very much reign supreme in terms of you having the energy to keep your supply up. So just something to keep in mind. I'm not advising that you always choose the non-nutrient dense option, but I'm saying I'd rather you choose the less nutrient dense option than have nothing at all.
Daria asks, updates on how you like or dislike your whoop. I'll let you go first.
I did talk about this in a recent YouTube video, just kind of sharing my thoughts. I don't wear it anymore, to Josh's disappointment. It wasn't accurate for me at all. And their customer support was horrific, not very helpful. They just kind of told me to keep wearing it and that it would eventually like get better, and it didn't. So I took it off and I went back to Aura. So it was a no from me. I do very much prefer the ring also versus the wrist strap. I just think as a female, I like how it looks better. I didn't like wearing the whoop with we went out to dinner and I was like, this is an eyesore on my wrist. Granted, they have some cuter bands, but I wasn't about to drop $100 on a band, especially after dropping $100 on a vocabulary app. So it was a no from me. Maybe I'll try it again in the future. I paused my membership, so it's not still charging me or using up what Josh bought for me. But as of right now, I'm Team Aura still.
How much of it do you think was related to your tattoos? Because didn't someone tell you that, or did Whoop tell you that?
No, Whoop didn't tell me that. Their new one, apparently it's not affected. It's really only affected if you have dark ink over where the sensor is. But where it sat on my arm, there was no tattoo there. It sat in the middle of this little half circle thing. So, and they said fine line tattoos, it wouldn't affect it. So that was not it. I wanted to believe that would fix it, but no.
Can I try yours for a little bit and see if I like it before I buy one?
Yeah, you can take mine.
Yours.
That's disappointing. And I was just having this conversation with someone else this morning. Even big companies, you're seeing so much shitty customer service. It is so there's no reason for it whatsoever. Either be helpful or resolve the problem one way or another. Return it, refund it, or this is the answer. Here are 5 things you can go do. No, nah, keep going. It's not a huge company, but someone I was chatting with today, it was 2 weeks between each reply for a resolution. And all I was getting in the interim was, sorry, we're noticing higher demand than usual for customer service. Well, that's because your customer service sucks. So maybe start investing in that before you focus on, shilling a ton of these things out that don't work the right way. So that's a bummer, and we promise to never do that to you guys. I do like my Whoop. I have not had to engage with their customer service, so I don't have any negative things to say there, just because I haven't had to deal with it. But I've talked about in the past, I think their UI is still pretty bad. There's a ton of data, which is great. They just don't organize it super great. It's just kind of there. But now that I know what I'm looking for and where it is, I scroll right to it, and it's bing, bang, boom. So I just focus on the things that I want to focus on, and I like the performance aspect of it. So I will be continuing to use it for the time being. I agree. I don't love the strap, and they are silly expensive when you can buy the same thing for $3 Amazon. I'm just not sure how it would affect. I don't think it would affect the ratings, but there is a little metal thing that cues up on the side. So I'm a little worrisome about that, which is why I haven't picked anything up off Amazon. But yeah, definitely marked up when it doesn't need to be in a lot of areas. So I wouldn't say I'm a fanatic of the brand, but I do enjoy using the product. Amanda says, longtime listener, first time participating in questions. This year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 34. Thankfully, after surgeries and a clear PET scan, I am considered cancer-free. However, part of my treatment is hormone suppression, putting me into menopause for the next 5 years. I currently lift 4 times a week, cardio 2 times, aim for 10,000 steps, focus on protein, fiber, and drinking lots of water. The internet is wild, and of course, lots of women mention weight gain during menopause. My question, how much does menopause contribute to weight gain? Do I need to change habits to combat menopause symptoms, or just keep doing what I'm doing? Messing with hormones seems intimidating, but necessary to prevent recurrence in my case. Thank you guys for all you do. I'm so excited for the Fitness League app. Super happy for you guys and cannot wait to see all that you accomplish. Amanda, first of all, you're an absolute warrior. Keep fighting. You're doing incredible things. This is just super inspiring. So I will let you guys take the rest of the way.
Congrats on being cancer-free, Amanda. That is amazing. All right, so let's tackle a few parts of this. So starting with does menopause itself cause weight gain? Let's tackle that. So the short answer is not directly. So menopause isn't going to inherently cause weight gain in the sense of you've hit menopause, you're now magically adding pounds regardless of what you do. Weight gain is still going to come down to energy balance, right? Calories in, calories out. But while that fundamentally, that process doesn't change in menopause can make it easier to gain weight or harder to lose weight. So let's just kind of break some of those down for a minute. You're having hormonal shifts in menopause, whether it's medically induced or not. And that main hormonal shift that we're talking about is a decline in estrogen. Estrogen plays a big role in regulating our metabolism and our hunger and our fat distribution. And so when those estrogen levels drop, you may see a change in like body fat distribution. So that's where you get more women complaining about like more stored body fat around their abdomen. So that's one thing that is a possible consideration there. The other thing that we typically see, and I don't think that this one is going to necessarily apply to you, but as we age, we lose lean muscle mass, especially during menopause. There's this natural tendency toward loss of muscle tissue. And if we have less muscle, we have a lower resting metabolic rate. And then that also means that we're burning less calories because you are strength training 4 times a week, because you are doing cardio multiple days per week, because you are walking. I don't foresee that those things are going to be struggles of yours. Another consideration here is typically with those hormone changes and menopause changes, we might see sleep and mood changes. So if your sleep is more disrupted or your mood is more disruptive or more kind of fluctuating, you might see differences in your appetite. You might see more cravings. If we have a difference in appetite, we might eat more, things like that. So I want to mention those because it's not that menopause is this, mystery situation that's going to inherently cause weight gain. It's just that there's a change to some conditions in the body, basically, that might make it easier to be in a surplus So those changes are manageable though, and they're often quite small. And it sounds like you are very much already doing a lot of the right things to be doing to combat any of that. So based on what you shared, I think it's amazing that you are resistance training 4 times a week. That's going to be great for preserving muscle and protecting your bone density, protecting your metabolic rate. You're doing cardio twice a week. You're doing your 10,000 steps. You're prioritizing protein and fiber, which is going to help with that satiety and maintaining your muscle. And you said, I think, something about hydration as well, which is obviously going to be great for a variety of reasons. So in my opinion, and Josh and Alessandra, feel free to add here, you are already checking every box that matters most. The only other slight tweaks that you could even potentially consider or think about are, depending on where your protein currently is, maybe slightly increasing your protein to support that muscle retention in kind of this menopause phase. Making sure that we are very focused on progressive overload and we're doing what we can to stay as kind of consistent with our training and trying to push those heavier weights over time. We want muscle to like be an ally, right? As much as possible, because it's going to be great for health and longevity overall. And then just continuing to prioritize your sleep and stress management. I would say those are probably 2 of the biggest culprits during menopause is sleep and stress issues. So yeah, bottom line, whether that menopause is natural or medically or treatment induced, it does not need to be a sentence for inevitable weight gain. There might be some internal factors that are changing things, but most people are not doing all of the things that you are already doing. So I think the fact that you have built a lot of those habits, your strength training, your movement, your high protein nutrition, your consistency, I think all of those things are a really, really great defense against any stress that you have about unwanted body comp changes.
Katie says, looking into switching over to your fitness training program after being on a program for a few years. Which program would you recommend for someone who is only able to lift 3 to 4 times a week and for about 30 minutes with goals to gain strength? Thank you.
Well, you can take a quiz if you want like an exact answer, but just based off of these 2 things, 3 to 4 times per week for 30 minutes, I would suggest Move. Start with Move. It might be slightly longer than 30 minutes depending on the day, but it's typically 35 minutes, give or take. And yeah, it's 3 days per week, full body, strength focused. If you do want to add that 4th day, you can switch to Build, which is the same program, just split a little bit differently. And that's what I would recommend.
Or Muscle Mommy. Muscle Mommies are averaging like
depending
35,
on
35,
if she
40
wants
minutes.
full gym or
if you want gym
for
or home, that's going to make a difference.
All right, wrapping up. Amy wants to know what the macros are for the buffalo chicken meatballs. She makes them all the time and she loves them.
I make them all the time still. We're 7 years deep into making these probably every week.
I think you have them pinned on your Instagram.
I do have it pinned on my
highlight or
Instagram Reels, which is what I'm pulling up right now.
I think it's 10 grams of protein,
It's like
10 grams of fat, and 3 grams.
It might be
9. 10 protein and carbs and like 3 to 5 fat per meatball, 2-ounce meatballs.
No, I don't have the macros here. I thought I Oh, wait, right here. Per 2-ounce meatball, 9 protein, 3 carb, 1 fat, not factoring in any sauces that you use. So that's just the chicken, the breadcrumbs, and the egg. Depending on what breadcrumbs you use, that might change a little bit. And then obviously what flavor you make them. So if, like, we're just using wing sauce, that's basically no calories, I think, maybe a couple carbs. But we've used like the garlic parm in the past that has some fats and carbs in it. So it kind of just depends what you put on them. But yeah, that's about average per ball.
Per ball.
Per ball.
No comment. With that, we're going to wrap up this conversation with the reminder that change doesn't come in one big moment. It's built in the ways you keep showing up. Take what you learned today and build the best version of yourself for tomorrow. Where can they find you?
I'm at Alessandra Skutnik.
At Joelle Samantha.
At Josh Skutnik.
And everything else you need is linked in the show notes.